Novel, First Prep, David Copperfield, Chapter 14. The content of this chapter, the main points are: Uriah's true character appeared, Miss Betsy's reaction after she knew what happened to her money. The third point, Dora's death. Dora will die in this chapter. The fourth point is David's feelings after Dora's death. First, Uriah's true character appeared. Now we will know everything about Uriah. Dear students, I want you to help me by reading this chapter very well. Then listen to the main points and the explanation. The first point is that Traddles, David, and Mr. Micawber went to Mr. Wakefield's house where Uriah was. We all know that Uriah went to live with Mr. Wakefield and he was always there. They confronted Uriah about his dishonest dealings. They faced him by everything he had done. Okay? And that was by the help of Mr. Micawber, who told them everything about Uriah. Traddles held Mr. Wakefield's attorney and was able to act for him in all matters. It means that Traddles will speak for or on the behalf of Mr. Wakefield. Okay, Mr. Wakefield gave him the power of speaking on his behalf. The fourth point is that Mr. Micawber had a document that proved that Heap had forged Mr. Wakefield's signature on important documents and that he had cheated and deceived his employer almost to bankruptcy. It means that Uriah Heep forged Mr. Wakefield's signature on the papers, and by that signature he could able to take most of Mr. Wakefield's clients' money, and they turned them to be bankrupt. Bankrupt means that they lost all their money, or all their money went to be Uriah's money. With the testimony of Mr. Micawber, Heap was arrested and sent to prison. Now, Heap went to prison because what he had done to all the clients of Mr. Wakefield. Miss Betsy's reaction. What did she do when she knew that Uriah Heep was the main reason of her poverty or loss of money? Miss Betsy was so grateful to Mr. Micawber. So grateful means she wanted to thank him. She felt that he did a great thing to help her to return back her money. Her reaction was that she offered to pay a passage to Australia for him and his family. Mr. Micawber and his family would travel on the same ship as Emily and Mr. Peggotty. We knew in chapter 13 that Emily, Mr. Peggotty, and Mrs. Gummidge would travel to Australia to start a new life there. And Miss Betsy rewarded Mr. Micawber by giving him the money to start a new life in Australia. Now, the saddest part in this chapter, it is Dora's death. Dora became very ill. She wasn't able to walk or move. David was very depressed by this turn of events. He was very sad for the illness of his Dora, and he could do nothing to help her. Just before Dora's death, Dora asked to see Agnes alone and spoke to her about David and his future after her death. Dora asked David to call Agnes, okay, and they spoke alone together. She told Agnes to take care of David because she knew very well that she would die. David's feelings after Dora's death. How did he feel? After his wife's death, David decided to travel abroad. He decided to leave England. He couldn't live in England without his Dora. He first traveled to Yarmouth to visit Ham before leaving to Switzerland. A storm was raging and a ship was wrecked in the harbor. Wrecked means damaged. Ham went to help the survivors of the ship. The survivors are the people who were still alive, but he died in the rough sea. Steerforth was on the same ship when it went down and he also died. So, in this point, we know that Ham died and Steerforth also died because of the storm. David didn't tell Mr. Peggotty that Ham died because he wanted them to leave for Australia happily. He wanted them to start a new life without any sadness. The questions of this chapter are: the first one, what happened to Aunt Betsy's money and how did David help her? I want you to write what happened to Aunt Betsy's money. Okay, you will find the answer on chapter 9 when she lost all her money. Just write one line only. How did she lose her money? And the second part of this question is, and how David help her? How did David help her? Okay? What was Mr. Micawber's role in helping Miss Betsy to return her property back? What did Mr. Micawber do to help her to return her money back? Mr. Micawber played a very important role in returning Miss Betsy's money back. He helped David by showing them the document, okay? And he was the one who told David everything about Steerforth. The last question, why did David go to Yarmouth? Sure, the answer will be because of his wife's death. And what was his trip like? You will find it while reading the chapter. How did Ham and Steerforth die? Okay, in the storm. I want you to write the answer in detail. Thank you for listening.